Musician Ryan Adams, who was married to Mandy Moore for 7 years until their divorce in 2016, is facing allegations of harassment and emotional abuse by his ex-wife and 6 other women, many of whom say he asserted his power in the music industry to exploit them.
He would write songs with her and then right from under her give them to other people. Mandy said she found herself just curled up in a ball on the floor, just broken down with the emotional stress that her marriage had put her through.
Mandy Moore was in a nasty marriage with a man who could care less about her or her dreams. Mandy's ex-husband, Ryan Adams, is problematic to say the least, and he has several victims who have come forward and they accuse him of being a terrible partner, forcing them to live through his psychological abuse. Ryan Adams is a dangerous figure in the entertainment industry, and his next victim might have the same unfortunate fate as Mandy Moore. So let's get into it. If you aren't subscribed to the Let's Get Into It podcast, then you're only getting half the tea. For longer videos, deep dives, and of course, more of me, subscribe to the Let's Get Into It podcast listed in the description below. Mandy Moore is an actress and singer that we all love, but she's gone through some tough times in her life, one in which includes her marriage to Ryan Adams, which he is, a rock star in his own right, but according to Mandy and other women, seems like he's more of a monster. Now, Ryan Adams was part of a band titled Whiskey Town, and in 2008, he was actually on tour for his band, and Mandy happened to be on tour at the same time in the same city, so she and her band went to go and check out his show. Mandy says, as a 23-year-old impressionable woman, I was really taken by him. I had never met someone who had that lens on the world. They were married a year later, way too fast. But she claims at the time she was a smitten mitten. She was so happy to be with this guy. Now, the couple remained relatively private about their personal lives after their wedding in 2009. Occasionally we'd see them on social media or maybe see them captured by the paparazzis, but they really did not allow us into their lives as a couple, which I respect. We love a good private life. Mandy opened up more about her musical connection to her husband shortly after getting married, saying it's a common interest between them two. There's always music playing in their house or being written. So they collaborated over their love for music, and that's how they bonded. But there was more to their relationship than just that, because in 2015, the two filed for divorce, which was right before their 6th anniversary.
Former pop star and the rocker announced their split in January 2015 after 6 years of marriage. Court documents obtained by ET show the divorce was made final on June 20th.
After finalizing their divorce in 2016, Ryan and Mandy appeared to be more supportive of each other, though tensions boiled beneath the surface. Now, it took a couple years until Mandy shared really why she divorced Ryan. In 2018, she began speaking out about her experience marrying this man. Mandy came forward with accusations that Ryan was manipulative. So manipulative that she claims that she was abused by him. She said, "I didn't choose the right person," saying that she felt spiritually and fundamentally stuck in their relationship. She continued, "I don't feel guilty for the divorce. I don't fault myself for it. When people said, 'I'm sorry,' I was like, no, don't be sorry. I did not want to stay in this unhealthy situation." Now, Ryan was really dismissive of Mandy's claims, writing on Twitter that she didn't like the Melvins or Blade Runners, so their marriage was doomed from the start. He continued, "If I could only remember the start, LOL," which is so nasty mean, him trying to say oh, she didn't even like these things, so why did I marry her? Well, I don't even remember the beginning of our relationship because I guess he was so screwed up or drunk or on drugs, which, who wants to be with you after hearing that?
Music was a point of control for him, Moore said. The 34-year-old who first shot to fame as a singer told The Times Adams took charge of her music career, but lashed out in ways that Moore came to consider psychologically abusive. He would always tell me, "You're not a real musician because you don't play an instrument." Moore adding his controlling behavior kept her from furthering her music career during a very pivotal and potentially lucrative time.
Mandy accused Ryan of psychological abuse in a New York Times expose. This piece also featured allegations from 6 other women who have been with Ryan Adams. Mandy said music was a point of control for him. He would always tell me, "You're not a real musician because you don't play an instrument." His controlling behavior essentially did block my ability to make new connections in the industry during a very pivotal and potentially lucrative time in my life. Now, Ryan has of course denied all these allegations, saying that he wasn't psychologically abusive and that her allegations don't line up.
Musician Ryan Adams, who was married to Mandy Moore for 7 years until their divorce in 2016, is facing allegations of harassment and emotional abuse by his ex-wife and 6 other women, many of whom say he asserted his power in the music industry to exploit them. In a New York Times story released on Wednesday, 7 women accused the 44-year-old singer of being manipulative, controlling, and obsessive.
In 2010, Mandy was looking to rekindle her music career, but Ryan allegedly discouraged her from working with other producers, but would not follow through with recording their songs. So he would tell her, like, you can't work with that person, but then he would never actually work with her to get anything done.
He would write songs with her and then right from under her give them to other people and didn't let her work with other people in the industry. Mandy said she found herself just curled up in a ball on the floor, just broken down with the emotional stress that her marriage had put her through.
This article claims that they wrote songs together regularly that Ryan Adams promised to record but never did. He booked them time at his studio only to replace her with other female artists, she said, and he lashed out in ways that Mandy came to consider psychologically abusive. I mean, he sounds terrible. Now, when they met in 2007, she was 23 and he was a decade older. I mean, red flag. She was exiting her teen pop years, and his reputation as a sensitive, authentic voice provided the artistic credibility that she craved. In 2010, Ryan Adams offered to work on her next album, so she parted ways with her manager, and that's when he royally screwed her over.
Mandy Moore, who's now 34 and first met Adams at the age of 23, said that he discouraged her creatively, stifled her career, and psychologically abused her. Moore took to social media Wednesday saying, "Speaking your truth can be painful and triggering, but it's always worth it. My heart is full with all women who have suffered any sort of trauma or abuse. You are seen and heard. Hashtag sisterhood forever."
Honestly, good for Mandy Moore for standing her ground and calling him out, and also acknowledging that she was in her 20s. She had so much potential. While she's had an amazing career thus far, I do think that she is valid in calling him out and saying that he did, in fact, hold her back.
There was no way that I couldn't speak my truth and tell my story, and I was emboldened by the fact that there were other women that had been in the same situation, many other women, and it was undeniable to me.
And that's great that Mandy does have the support of these other women. And it's also pretty, like, I don't want to say impressive, because impressive has a positive connotation, but like negatively impressive that this man also has 6 other women who are willing to go on the record and say, yeah, Mandy, you're right. He is a terrible guy.
But I've also been emboldened hearing from so many women that spoke out about psychological abuse and emotional abuse, and how real it is, how prevalent it is, and how we're not really having much of a conversation about it. And so for other victims of that form of abuse to feel understood and heard made me feel good.
This damning article that Ryan is not happy about also claims that he had harassed a teenage fan referred to as Ava. The two began talking when she was 13. Ryan then followed her back on Twitter. Ava was told by Ryan that they had worked together on music, but over several years, the conversation often turned intimate. In one log, he allegedly wrote, "If people knew, they would say I was like R. Kelly, LOL. Well, I mean, he's even aware." Then 10 minutes later, he wrote that he wanted to touch her nipple. He also exposed himself to her without warning on Skype. Ryan's lawyer, of course, denies that this ever took place. Ryan says, "I'm not a perfect man and I have made many mistakes. To anyone I've ever hurt, however unintentionally, I apologize deeply and unreservedly," which seems like Ryan is trying to cover his bases spaces, you know, especially with the Me Too movement. But Ryan wrote to, I guess, this 16-year-old at this time in November 2014, "I never see pics of you anymore." He was 40 years old. Ava was newly 16. He also told her, "You were blowing my mind." He had pet names for her body parts, which I'm like, 2014, was he still married? I don't think he was. Was he married? I think they got divorced officially in 2015. So he could have been cheating too with a minor. Ryan even asked this girl, Ava, "And tell me that your mom is not going to kill me if she finds out we even text." So he was even trying to make sure her mom wasn't aware of their inappropriate relationship. Ava said that as her communication with Ryan went on, she grew uneasy about their unequal dynamic. Once, she said the two agreed to video chat, but when they connected over Skype, he was already naked and it was just sexual power, Ava said.
Now, speaking with The Times, Adam's lawyer said his client never, quote, engaged in inappropriate online sexual communications with someone he knew was underage. However, The Times expose chronicles a correspondence Adams had with a fan who is being referred to as Ava. It started in 2013, according to the article, when she was 14 years old. And when Ava was 15 and 16, her and Adams allegedly corresponded through over 3,000 text messages. In those texts, Adams allegedly would routinely question Ava about her age. She sometimes said that she was older than she actually was, but despite Adams' obvious concerns, he continued to push conversations in a sexual nature. That's according to the claims in the article. And at one point, Adams texted, "I would get in trouble if someone knew we talk like this." And that was in 2014. At that time, he had just turned 40, and Ava was 16.
In February 2019, The Times reported that the FBI's New York field office was investigating whether the 44-year-old musician, Ryan Adams, committed a crime by having phone intimacy and exchanging graphic text with an underage girl. That same year, Ryan wrote an essay published in the Daily Mail that there were no words to express how bad he felt about the ways he's mistreated people throughout his life and his career, which maybe is an admission of guilt on his end, that he realizes that these people are going to come after him, so he's apologizing in advance. Now, it's Ryan's lucky day because the FBI never put any charges on him, so he never was criminally charged for this relationship he had with Ava. They really added no comment into what their investigation found. Though I did find this one tweet. It reads, "Worth noting that Ryan Adams sent this deranged and now deleted tweet earlier today ahead of the New York Times expose being published." He wrote, "Happy Valentine's Day, New York Times. I know you got lawyers, but do you have the truth on your side? No, I do. And you have run out of friends. My folks are not your friends. Run your smear piece, but the legal eagles see you, rads. I'm effing taking you down. Let's learn I bait." Okay, so he's really going to challenge the New York Times, which couldn't be me. Two additional female singer-songwriters who declined to be identified for fear of retribution described a similar pattern of behavior from Ryan Adams, raving about their work and offering tour spots amid aggressive romantic pursuit, followed by harassing messages and threats of professional retaliation when the relationships did not progress as he wanted. If you're not going to give me this, if you're not going to show me this, then you're not gonna get that, which right there is a power dynamic, people. Megan Butterworth of the Butterworth, I love your work, also described him as controlling and an emotionally abusive partner who later targeted her with digital harassment. During their relationship, he isolated her socially and professionally, she said, trying to dictate who she saw and worked with, and he could turn rageful, smashing things and physically intimidating her. She said, though he never had gotten physical with her, which that is important to note. When she left him in 2018, Miss Butterworth said that he inundated her with hundreds of text messages, phone calls, and emails. He would threaten to take his own life, threaten her with lawsuits, and just really acted like a big baby when it came to breakups. Now, we don't have any clips of Miss Butterworth sharing her experience with Ryan Adams, but here's another clip of Mandy.
Mandy, I'm going to ask you something I was kind of reluctant to, but over the weekend, your ex-husband made kind of a public apology during this world of Me Too. He said, it was in the Daily Mail, I guess, he said he was sorry and he was sober. Do you believe that he's changed?
You know, it's challenging because I feel like in many ways I've said all I want to say about him and that situation. But I find it curious that someone would make a public apology but not do it privately. I am speaking for myself, but I have not heard from him, and I'm not looking for an apology necessarily, but I do find it curious that someone would sort of do an interview about it without actually making amends privately.
Yeah.
Ryan realizes that this news is not good, and there's really no space for him in the entertainment industry acting like this. In his first interview since the Times published their article, he expresses, remorse and realizes that he had been canceled in LA. Ryan Adams was quoted saying that, "I felt like they were asking me to die," talking about how the cancellation of his career affected him. "So I'm losing my life's work and my dream of who I am, my ability to provide for myself. And now I don't have the emotional support to help fix this. The door has slammed, and what am I going to do?" Good question. Maybe be a better person. I don't want anyone to be in pain, but also you need to acknowledge what you have done. And you denied Mandy Moore's stories for a while and these other women, and it took a long time for you to take a long and hard look in the mirror and to realize that you are in fact the problem. But I want to hear what you guys think in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in a new one soon. Bye, guys.